You should be shaking your dang on head at yourself.
I ain't did.
You always doing it. You was doing it 3 days ago in Houston. What is you blowing up and saying all these inaccuracies for to these people? You always doing that. You always doing it. No, it ain't accurate. No, it's not actually accurate. You said to me that when we were married, I was going to hotels cheating on you. That's a goddamn lie.
I didn't say you on this.
Yes, you did.
I didn't say that you was.
Yes, you did.
There's
and
a possibility.
You said it multiple times.
There's a possibility, because like me.
Well, we know you was cheating.
It's okay. Okay. I'm sorry for that.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Not
if I knew they was going to destroy what we had, all this, it wouldn't have been like it is.
What began as a quiet, private discussion behind closed doors suddenly exploded into a very public situation. And honestly, no one expected it to escalate this way. Melody's mother, someone who usually keeps to herself and avoids drama, has finally stepped forward. And she didn't just make a small comment. She spoke loudly, clearly, and directly. She called people out, and she didn't soften her words at all. But the real question is, why now? What pushed her to speak after staying silent for so long? At the center of all this is Nell Fluchter, a name that keeps appearing for reasons that aren't exactly positive. Melody's mother.
Oh, y'all, at midnight, Melody Cherie Rogers released her statement stating that she would no longer be on Love and Marriage Huntsville. After 9 seasons of sharing her life with us, she has decided to part ways with the show.
Clearly has a serious problem with her. But what did Nell do that made her react so strongly? Is this just personal frustration? Or is there something much deeper happening behind the scenes, things most people haven't seen or heard? To understand how everything reached this point, we have to go back to the beginning. This feud didn't start overnight. Melody's departure wasn't random or impulsive. It was a breaking point that came after months, maybe even years of tension, building up quietly. On the outside, everything looked calm and picture perfect, but behind the scenes, there were arguments, disagreements, and silent battles that only a few people knew about. Melody had been carrying pressure from every direction: family expectations, work responsibilities, and people constantly trying to influence her choices. She reached
It's a wrap for Melody Cherie Rogers on Love and Marriage Huntsville. She's officially announced that she will not be returning to the reality TV series. Look, there have been a lot of signs that Melody was done with OWN, that she was done with Carlos, because she unfollowed him. She's said some things on social media, and most recently, she revealed some things about her issues with the show and how it's being produced. And someone, a producer on her show, basically wanted to be her TV manager, and when she said no, she felt as if there was retaliation.
Where she had to choose between staying trapped in that pressure or regaining control of her own life. In the end, walking away felt like her only path to freedom. But not everyone was happy with her decision, especially not Nell Fluchter. Nell wasn't just standing by watching the situation unfold. She had a plan, and part of that plan involved bringing Melody back. Behind closed doors, there were private conversations, carefully planned meetings, and strategic efforts to pull her in again. The question was never simply, will Melody return? It was more like, what's the best way to make sure she comes back? Was Nell trying to maintain peace? Or did she have a bigger motive? Let's be honest, when someone pushes that hard for another person to return, there's usually a reason that benefits them. This is where Melody's mother enters the picture. She wasn't just another person involved, she was the key. If anyone had the power to influence Melody's choices, it was her mother. And Nell knew it. That's why there were so many attempts to involve her, to pull her into the conversation, and to get her on their side. But what Nell didn't expect was for Melody's mother to stand firm and refuse to be used. She saw right through everything: the pressure, the sweet-sounding promises, and the attempts to twist the situation for some.
Hey, what's up, Instagram? Listen, really quickly, a lot of y'all been inboxing me. Some of you have been texting me, asking me what is going on, what is up with this video that Martell Holt has decided to post today. I really don't know. I have no idea where his mind is, why the hell he done took it to social media at that. However, since he keeps saying he got some stuff to get off his chest and he got to put the truth out and all of that, then I'm going to get some stuff off my chest too. Like, it's not going to be no one-sided anything ever. So I'm waiting just like y'all, and I'm waiting to hear what his truth is, so that way I can go ahead and put my truth out as well. You know what I'm saying? And my truth gonna be the truth. So I'm waiting like you guys. I don't know what he's thinking. Kind of disappointed, to be honest, because I thought we had gotten past the whole going to social media thing, but it's all good. But y'all can stop inboxing me because I don't know. I'm waiting too.
Someone else's gain, and she wasn't going to allow anyone to take advantage of her daughter or manipulate the situation to fit their agenda. That's where things began to shift. What should have been a simple discussion quickly turned into something much more intense. When Nell sat down with Melody's mother, it appeared to be a normal, honest talk. But if you look at what was really happening, you could sense that there was strategy behind every word Nell said. Was she genuinely concerned about Melody? Or was she more focused on the impact Melody's absence had on the show, the ratings, or the people in charge? It wasn't just a conversation, it was a calculated move. But Melody's mother didn't fall for it. She had watched everything unfold for far too long to be fooled by polite phrases or carefully chosen words. She recognized the patterns and the subtle tactics. She knew when someone was trying to control the narrative, so she pushed back. She made it absolutely clear that Melody's return could not be forced, influenced, or shaped to fit someone else's plan. And that's when the unspoken threats showed up, not direct, loud threats, but
I'm gonna do it. I wanna do it.
I'm ready.
Right. And then, the good thing about it, I was thinking with you guys having 7 days on and 7 days off, the 7 days that you have them, I can make sure I'm here in Huntsville in case you need me. And the 7 days off, I can do whatever I want to do,
Go where you want to go, yeah.
And who knows, maybe him and I would get to a place where if he needs me to keep the kids, I would be willing to do that for him.
Because that's what used to happen in the past.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would call you and ask you about watching them, or whether that was because we were going to go out of town, or you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
So hopefully, we'll get to that place where, he could call me and I could say, oh yeah, I'll keep them this week for you, or a couple of days if you got to go out of town and do something.
Quiet reminders of past promises that were never kept and hints of the power struggle happening behind the scenes. It became obvious that the show needed Melody more than Melody needed the show. This situation was no longer about feelings, it was about control, leverage, and who would end up on top. And then, just when it seemed like everything would stay hidden, Melody's mother did something nobody expected. She went public. She had always stayed silent, even during the worst of the drama. She let things play out without inserting herself. But something changed. Maybe she saw the way Melody was being treated. Maybe she finally understood how much was happening secretly. Whatever the reason, she decided it was time to speak up. And when she did, her words shook everyone. She openly called out the manipulation, the pressure, and the impossible position Melody had been put in. She said clearly that people weren't just trying to convince Melody to return, they were trying to control her. And then came the biggest shock of all. She mentioned Nell Fluchter by name. That changed everything. Most people would have expected her to blame the network or the producers, but she went straight for Nell. And that made everyone start asking questions. Why Nell? What role did she really play? Was she the one with the most influence? Or was there another layer to their tension? Whatever the reason, her statement sent a message that couldn't be ignored, and of course, the fans reacted immediately. Many stood by Melody's mother, saying she was only protecting her daughter and speaking the truth that others were afraid to reveal. People quickly realized that Melody's mother was willing to stand up for her daughter, especially when she saw the pressure Melody was facing and the way others were trying to influence the situation. Some people admired her strength, but others weren't so sure she was helping. A number of viewers questioned whether speaking out publicly was the right move. They wondered if things would have been easier for Melody if everything had been handled privately. A few even suggested that going public might make it harder for Melody to return on her own terms. Either way, once the comments were out there, the situation was no longer a quiet family matter. The drama became public, and suddenly everyone had an opinion. Social media discussions exploded, interviews were shared, and the story spread faster than anyone expected. But the real twist came when people realized not everyone actually wanted Melody to return. While Melody's mother pushed for her come back and defended her every step of the way, other people behind the scenes were quietly working to prevent exactly that. Some cast members and even a couple of producers had no interest in Melody rejoining the show. Their reasons varied. Some may have felt threatened by her presence, while others simply didn't want the dynamic of the show to change. Regardless of their motives, they were actively trying to block her path back. Just when talks about her return started gaining momentum, something no one expected happened. A private message leaked. And it wasn't just a handful of harmless texts. This message revealed the truth about what had really been happening in the shadows. It exposed hidden agendas, secret conversations, and proof that certain people were trying to sabotage Melody's comeback. Suddenly, the question wasn't, does Melody want to return? It became, who is making sure she can't? And the cast members who stood to lose the most were right at the center of it. Melody's absence had opened the door for others to gain more attention and secure more screen time. Several of them built their storylines around the fact that she was gone. If Melody came back, the spotlight would shift again, and everything they had gained might crumble. Her return threatened the roles they had carved out for themselves, so the big mystery remained. Was the resistance coming from producers, cast members, or both? One thing was clear, this situation was larger and more complicated than anyone realized. Then, in true Melody style, she turned the entire situation around. If they wanted her back, she had her own list of conditions. She wasn't interested in slipping quietly into her old place on the show. Melody saw that the power dynamics were shifting, and she used that moment wisely. If the network wanted her return, they needed to agree to her terms, real terms, not empty promises. Her first requirement was simple. She refused to be treated like just another cast member. She wanted creative input, the ability to shape her own storyline, and most importantly, she wanted the constant false narratives about her to stop. She was done with manipulated scenes, unexpected setups, and drama designed to make her look like the villain. If she came back, it would be with transparency and fairness, nothing less. But her biggest condition shocked everyone. She insisted that one specific person had to go. She didn't reveal the name publicly, but people behind the scenes knew exactly who she meant. It might have been a producer, a cast member, or someone who had worked against her in the past. Whoever it was, Melody made it clear she wouldn't return unless that person was removed. This wasn't a suggestion, it was non-negotiable. That demand made everyone question her strategy. Was she brilliantly securing her comeback, or was she making herself a bigger target? The entertainment industry doesn't always reward people who push for too much control. And plenty of individuals already didn't want her back. Still, Melody stood firm. But then came the biggest twist of all. It turned out this situation wasn't really about her mother, the cast, or even Melody herself. Someone else had been influencing everything from the background, someone with even more power. While Melody and her mom were going back and forth, while cast members were arguing and choosing sides, another person was calling the shots quietly and effectively. Who was the real puppet master? A top-level pro. Moment where she had to choose between staying trapped in that pressure or regaining control of her own life. In the end, walking away felt like her only path to freedom. But not everyone was happy with her decision. Especially not Nell Fluchter. Nell wasn't just standing by watching the situation unfold. She had a plan. And part of that plan involved bringing Melody back. Behind closed doors, there were private conversations, carefully planned meetings, and strategic efforts to pull her in again. The question was never simply, will Melody return? It was more like, what's the best way to make sure she comes back? Was Nell trying to maintain peace? Or did she have a bigger motive? Let's be honest, when someone pushes that hard for another person to return, there's usually a reason that benefits them. This is where Melody's mother enters the picture. She wasn't just another person involved, she was the key. If anyone had the power to influence Melody's choices, it was her mother. And Nell knew it. That's why there were so many attempts to involve her, to pull her into the conversation, and to get her on their side. But what Nell didn't expect was for Melody's mother to stand firm and refuse to be used. She saw right through everything, the pressure, the sweet-sounding promises, and the attempts to twist the situation for someone else's gain. And she wasn't going to allow anyone to take advantage of her daughter or manipulate the situation to fit their agenda. That's where things began to shift. What should have been a simple discussion quickly turned into something much more intense. When Nell sat